Joining me here in studio is Hugo Lowell, senior political correspondent with The Guardian. I'm really glad you're here because I got a lot to ask you, beginning with the fact that you have an ear to the ground on everything going on at Mar-a-Lago. You talk with all the insiders there. What insights are you able to share that explain Trump's most contentious recent picks?
I think the overarching explanation is he's just picking who he likes at this point. He's done all of the big names, the ones that he was really set on, if you think about the early names that came out for the major cabinet positions. And then at this point, the roles that are left, things like FBI director in particular, is something he really cares about. You know, Treasury Secretary came out Friday night, but it took a while to get there. And that was because Trump himself hadn't really liked the options that were put before him by the transition team. And so he was casting around his allies and advisors saying, you know, who else would be good? Who else do you think
Who are those advisors that are doing that? I was curious if Trump is doing the pick, because you say he's picking people that he likes.
At the end of the day, it's Trump, but it's canvassing across the board.
Is it Bannon? Is it Roger Stone? Is it others?
Different factions. You know, the way I see it is there are probably three big factions at this point. There's kind of Susie Wiles and the new kind of MAGA Trump loyalists that were with him during the campaign, who are one center of gravity. There's the OG Trump loyalists from 2016 who are still around, people like Stephen Chung, people like Boris Epshteyn. You know, Jason Miller's obviously not coming in anymore, but he, you know, is a sounding board for some people. And then there are the AFPI folks, the kind of fringe, kind of maybe not fringe, but MAGA people who have influence in Trump world. And then you also have these strap hangers. You have these like Elon Musk type people. You have Howard Lutnick with his own crew. And so it's an amalgamation of different groups of different loyalties, all trying to push their own people. You know, the one thing that was really interesting, for instance, with the Attorney General pick was the transition team had put together a list of potential picks for Trump, and Trump didn't like any of them. And what ultimately ended up happening, of course, was he conferred with Boris Epshteyn on a flight, and he just decided, let's go with Matt Gaetz. Let's see if it goes well. If it doesn't, we can pick someone else. But this is how Trump is operating. It's a little scattershot at this point.
Yeah. What's the truth behind Elon Musk? What are you hearing about that? I mean, you have all sorts of headlines where he's the guest that will never leave, or that he's conversely right next to Trump with everything. Where's the truth lie?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. Look, he's not staying at Mar-a-Lago. He's staying off-site, according to our reporting. So he's not always in Trump's face, but he is in these big meetings, and it's annoying some people in Trump world who have been there a long time, who felt like they have done their time, and so they feel like they have a seat at the table, and they see Elon Musk coming in, and they're like, you know, who is this guy that just popped up? What does he know about the MAGA agenda and, you know, the kinds of people we want to put in the government to dismantle what they call the deep state? And so I think there is consternation there. On the other hand, there are people who have survived a long time in Trump world who tell me they don't think Elon is going so overboard as to annoy Trump. And that's kind of the one thing that Trump really dislikes, is people who kind of are pushing too hard or...
Lutnick did that?
Lutnick did that.
Treasury, so he got Commerce.
Right. He wanted to get the Treasury Department. He was telling Trump he needed to be at Treasury, even though Trump had already told him probably wasn't going to be him. He didn't appreciate that. You know, you got to play the game. And Elon has actually been pretty good at playing the internal politics, which I think is testament to why he's still there.
Sarah Palin, she seems to be somewhat teasing a return to D.C., somewhat cryptic Instagram post there with the date, November 24th. Are you hearing her name in transition circles?
No. Okay. But then again, you know, Pam Bondi's name for Attorney General
came out of nowhere.
It was, you know, within hours of Matt Gaetz's nomination sinking that her name popped up in Trump's inner circle. I mean, this is what I mean. It's become very scattershot at this point. There are a number of roles that are still available. Trump hasn't made up his mind on if he likes these people. And so if there is a choice that he thinks might work, he could well throw him in.
Can I get your reaction to this headline? I'm going to read it here. Thoughts on it from Politico. Trump won less than 50%. Why is everyone calling it a landslide? His transition claims at every turn that it was a mandate. Why are they calling it that saying it's a landslide? Because as of today, I believe it's 1.6% of the popular vote that he stands ahead of Kamala Harris. That's it.
I think it's several things. Number one, you got to remember that going into the election, Trump world had no expectation of winning the popular vote at all. And by the way, neither Democrats. Everyone thought it was going to be an electoral college victory. They would win, maybe 3 or 4 of these swing states, and if they took Pennsylvania, they could just edge through the electoral college. And so when he won the popular vote, people's minds in Trump world exploded. They were like, we didn't realize we were even close to doing this. And so when you set expectations that low, when you exceed them, then there's this massive fantasy going on in Trump world that, we must have this colossal mandate. And by the way, it's not even clear that voters feel that, because a lot of voters are voting on single issues. And the coalition is so broad that the idea that everyone wants, a radical reformation of the federal government just doesn't seem to be the case.
Okay, well, we're going to need you to come back very soon and talk more about everything you know, my friend. Thank you very much, Hugo.